We have quite a lot to talk about in the political realm today. Quite a lot going on, Mr. Clay Travis. We have still everybody, no actual end result for the House, no actual decision about control in the Senate. We may know by Monday or Tuesday, or who knows? Perhaps it could be longer than that. There's a lot going on here. There's so much to unpack, and this is really important. And I think that we're going to start to see people recognize that some of the conversations about election systems, I say machinery, you could say system, apparatus, usually think of that more as commie stuff, so we could use that too, but the Democrat apparatus and how they get the votes out. There's all kinds of stuff that needs to be addressed. But let's bring you up to speed here, because Clay and I have a whole bunch of things we're going to talk about. One is Mitch McConnell has got to go from Republican leadership. I think people are recognizing this because he decided to spend money on candidates in the case of Murkowski, who, one, shouldn't even be a Republican anymore. Two, he blocked Shabaka by spending millions of dollars up in Alaska. Denied money to Blake Masters. So people are realizing, I think, Clay, that Mitch McConnell's a guy who's playing for himself more than he's playing for the GOP.
And we've got a couple of senators that just came out in the last 20 minutes and basically said this, Buck. Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley, senator from Florida's and Missouri there, have both said we shouldn't be voting on Senate leadership until this Herschel Walker runoff race is decided. But I believe there is a great groundswell inside of the Senate and certainly outside of the Senate of people saying, Mitch McConnell's 80 years old. It's time for him to go as Senate Majority Leader. And the election results here, where it feels like it's going to come down to a few thousand votes in Nevada, to a few thousand votes in Arizona before all is said and done, and then we'll see what happens in the runoff with Herschel. He didn't allocate his resources in a way that allowed the Republican Party to put its best foot forward. And that is becoming increasingly clear, I think.
So here's where we stand. We know that it's looking a little bit more challenging, and even some folks are saying they have seen enough for Blake Masters in Arizona. The Arizona vote counting situation is a total debacle. I don't think anybody could. Of course, a Democrat is in charge of it. A Democrat who is running for governor is in charge of the voting situation. It is a mess. Of course, Democrats voted for her anyway. They don't care. And she didn't recuse herself. So that's a component of this that we have to spend some time analyzing and picking apart. We have, unfortunately, Amazing Drazen in Oregon did not win. She lost by, I think, 3 or 4 points to Tina Kotek. So turns out that while Oregonians don't want their state to descend further and further into madness, a big majority of Portlandians, is that a thing, or Portlanders? I don't know.
I think you probably do both, Portlandians.
So we're going to get KEX, which is our wonderful affiliate in Portland. We're going to get some people saying, how does he not know that it's Portlanders? But Portlandia was the show. Anyway, a majority of Portland residents apparently want to keep on stepping over heroin needles and dealing with lunatics, hitting old ladies with hammers in broad daylight. They think that that's, social justice or whatever. So in Oregon, we didn't have the result we wanted either. We don't really know where the House is going to end up in terms of the final vote count or final, wins and losses. Clay, I think it's still looking good. It's going to be a super narrow majority if Republicans get there. It is looking like it's all going to come down to Herschel Walker, assuming Laxalt gets that win in Nevada, which is not a short thing.
He's got a the 9,000 lead with 90% of the ballots in. We don't know where the final 10% of votes in Nevada are going to come from. If he hangs on, Laxalt, then you would have Herschel running for control of the Senate in Georgia again. I'm, by the way, Buck, right now in Phoenix. We appreciate all the people who listen in the Phoenix area. We're number one in this market. I landed, and almost immediately, everybody that I have seen, I'm out here to do a speaking engagement. All they want to do is talk about how embarrassing this is, not only for Arizona, but for Arizona's perception nationwide after the mess that happened in 2020 that they have allowed this to happen again in 2022. It's flat out unbelievable. We could be in this situation.
I'm just going to say it. There was too much energy spent in the recount process, not enough spent, meaning that there are all these, court challenges and doing more counts and more counts and more counts in Arizona. And that's fine. I'm fine with doing the recount. I'm fine with trying to get to the real answer. But what was left out was it wasn't fixed.
Correct.
And there were even Republican, and people can get mad or they can get mad. I'm just speaking the truth. There is really no other way to see this other than, obviously, they didn't fix the system in Arizona, and it stayed rigged in favor of how Democrats are running elections now. This is the big conversation we have to have within the party, within the GOP, because I get people say, no, we're not going to do what they do. We're not going to put ballots in drop boxes. We're not going to do early voting. We're not going to have big campaigns so that we get people to start voting a month before Election Day. I agree with the principle. I agree with the sentiment. If we keep doing this, we will lose in Pennsylvania. We will lose in Arizona. We will lose possibly even in Nevada. So we have to look at what is working and what victory would require. And so there's a lot there. Do you want to talk about
I think there's a ton to unpack there, Buck. I would also say this. As bad as this is in 2022, think about what 2024 is going to look like if you truly care about the appearance of impropriety and impropriety itself. Allowing votes to come in for this long in California, in Nevada, in Arizona, and swinging the election in 2024, this is going to happen again. And we cannot allow these systems to exist. Look, New York, California, New York, Florida, certainly Texas, huge populations. They got everything fixed. They got all their votes in within basically 4 or 5 hours. And we all knew what happened in those states. This is unacceptable to occur anywhere in America, that we could be sitting for a fourth straight day of counting now on Friday after an election night Tuesday.
And now there's something else that we are not going to we're not going to just let it pass here because it's getting a lot of attention. And it does matter in the sense of what the GOP is going to become here. We got work to do. We have work to do as a party. The Democrats failing and sucking at their jobs, the Democrats being bad at governance is not enough. We have to figure out, one, what's going on with the election machinery state by state and come together to understand that we have to fight fire with fire. There's an opportunity for this, by the way, in Georgia. Some good news out of Georgia was that we said this here on the show yesterday. Kemp needs to throw his weight behind Herschel Walker. Kemp can be the kingmaker here in that state. And to the governor's credit, there's already been an official announcement put out, press release, that he will be working with the Walker campaign and trying to help push Walker across the finish line, which was the obvious thing to do. We're all about winning and making this a better country, folks, right? But we got to win to get there. We're not trying to be, no offense, libertarians, intellectually interesting, but politically
failing all the time.
I was trying to think of a nice way of saying it, but like losing all the time. Yes, we're not trying to do that. We're actually trying to win and therefore have the ability to change things. And then that also brings me to another big thing we're going to be talking about today. And maybe we'll even take some calls about this to see where people are. All right, so Governor Ron DeSantis, there's a really funny Babylon Bee post that Governor DeSantis decided to take the entire red wave for himself, very selfishly. They're kidding. It was a joke. It was funny. But Donald Trump on Truth Social has been saying some stuff. He's been saying some stuff about Ron DeSantis and also, to the surprise of some, about Glenn Youngkin and not complimentary stuff. And here's where I am on this, Clay. I want to know where you are on this. Folks, politics is not flag football. This is, people are going to, if there's going to be a primary fight, there's going to be a primary fight. You've got the ultimate heavyweights within the Republican Party right now. We all know who they are. Remember Hillary and Obama. Those were the two biggest names in the Democrat Party. And they ended up having, Obama be president for 8 years. And that was a nasty primary. So we'll just say this. If it turns into a total throwdown, we will cover it. We will talk about it. We will analyze it. And may the best man win.
It's going to happen, I think, Buck. And I don't think Trump is doing himself any favors right now because DeSantis is sitting back. I don't think DeSantis has to announce until June or July, really, of 2023. So he can continue to be governor of Florida, do his best job. And Trump continuing to take shots at DeSantis, I don't think is a win for Trump. Now, when they both are in the ring and they're both battling, it feels to me like Trump is trying to intimidate DeSantis from running based on taking shots at him already. And I certainly understand that from a strategic perspective, but I think the shots that he is taking are not landing in a way that helps him. Eventually, they're going to have to step into the ring.
I mean, we have to. This is what was put out, and it has been confirmed by many people now that Trump said in a Truth Social statement something about how Glenn Youngkin's name sounds Chinese.
Yep.
Which is bizarre.
Makes no sense.
It's bizarre.
Makes no sense.
And you guys know, I both am deeply appreciative of Donald Trump and personally fond of Donald Trump. But, one of the problems we had in the first 4 years was nobody could ever. I was always like, hey, can we be coaches at halftime trying to make the team win, trying to make the team better? The team didn't win, folks. The 2020 election, we could talk about this all day long. Joe Biden's president. It didn't work. Whatever. They cheated, fine, whatever. It didn't work. So I would like us to be in a position now where we could say, look, we call balls and strikes. That's not a helpful thing for Donald Trump to be writing right now. Is Donald Trump a one-man political movement that defeated the Democrat machinery on his own in a way that was once in a generation, maybe once in a lifetime? Absolutely. Is he an incredible performer? Does he have an ability to connect with people, to message in a way that can go up against the multi-billion-dollar Democrat DNC machine? Yes. Great. Does he sometimes make mistakes, get a little undisciplined? Yes. Is Ron DeSantis younger, less seasoned? Sure. Is Ron DeSantis the best governor in the country right now, who just won by 20 points, did an amazing job in Florida, is super smart, disciplined, and conservative? Yes. So here, it's Batman versus Superman, folks.
And that's where we're headed. And I don't think DeSantis has to announce till June and July. And so until then, Trump is fighting against someone who hasn't officially announced for the race. And I think DeSantis wins the more Trump is sending these, these screeds, so to speak, out about him. And I also just say this, Glenn Youngkin won in Virginia and ran an incredible campaign. Ron DeSantis is right now the best Republican governor in the country. I don't know why you would want to be attacking two people that have done some of the best jobs in Republican politics right now, because it looks like weakness, not strength.
That's right.
When those guys are not even running against you.
No serious person who knows anything about Republican politics right now in America who has a platform would sit around saying, yeah, Ron DeSantis is a mediocre governor. It's just not true. I mean,
Correct.
You can say that, but that's not good. Ron DeSantis, maybe, if Trump wants to say doesn't have the big stage charisma or something, if they get into this primary, there are things that he could say, but mediocre governor is just not, it's just not one of them. It's you know what I mean? This would be like me saying, LeBron James is just not good at basketball. He's just not that good. He's just an average player. It's like, well, no. You could say Michael Jordan is better,
Correct.
But you can't say that LeBron James is mediocre.
And that's where the argument actually ends up bouncing back on you when you try to make an argument that the vast majority of the people out there, if you say, look, Tom Brady's not very good this year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, people can say, okay, you know what, maybe it's the divorce with Giselle. There's all sorts of angles you could take on why that is. If you say Tom Brady's not a good quarterback, people just say, your opinion is not worthy of contemplation here. And it ends up hurting you for even sharing that opinion by and large. And I feel like that's where we are for Trump DeSantis. But this is going to play out in 23. I think DeSantis is going to announce sometime June, July, maybe in the summer. And then he and Trump can go at it. And we can see whether DeSantis is a national player on the same level he is at Florida. We can see how Trump, is he still got his fastball? Does he still have the ability to connect with the Republican base? Hey, that's a question for everybody in the primary to make. But right now, DeSantis is the most successful governor in the country. Trump is one of the most successful, I really believe this, presidents that we have seen in our lives. I think the first 4 years were phenomenal. Now the question is, who do people believe makes the most sense in 2024? And that is going to be a Donnybrook.